Hi everyone, this is Teacher Sydney again, and tonight I am recording how to use Chatgpt in generating a multiple choice test or any type of test for your classroom use. I suggest that you still check the outcome of what ChatGPT is going to generate right after to make sure there is accuracy and to make sure that the output of ChatGPT is suitable for your students. So the first thing that I did to make things easier for me while I am teaching is I encoded my resource material here. It's in soft copy. I have encoded more than 10 pages of my book already and made something like this. So it's easier for me to transfer written or typewritten data to ChatGPT to create the test that I wanted to make for my class. Oops, I need to close that. All right, so let's start. Now that we have the encoded version of the book that I am using, I cannot drop the name of the book, but yeah, here we go. We shall now go to ChatGPT. But before that, of course, we have to open a tab. Wait, oh, it's kind of missing. Let me just stop sharing for a while. Hang on. Okay, so where is my, all right. So I need to use a Word document because that is what we usually use when we are making an examination. Do not forget to type in what you need the students to write for identification when you check the paper. Of course, you have to mention the date and then the grade and section. This is what I usually do so that I can track my students' outputs. So there you go. We have the necessary details. Usually, I also put a heading on top, assuming that I'm teaching practical research here in the Philippines or wherever you are in the world. If you have this subject, this is practical research one. I usually add the school year. It's 2025 to 2026 as of this recording of the video. We put this in the center. Let's not touch yet the spacing and the font style and the font face because that might change right after we place our prompt and copy the outcome of our prompt from ChatGPT into the quiz. So here we go. All right, so the topic of my quiz is going to be characteristics, definition, and characteristics of research. Now, what you wanted to do, or what we want to do here, is to make a multiple choice test. So here's what we're going to do. First, put we input our prompt. You always have to assign a role when you put the prompt in ChatGPT. So here I'm going to say you are a grade 12 teacher in a senior high school in the Philippines. Yeah, you can actually skip the in the Philippines part because this does not necessarily have to matter. But if you want to contextualize your exam into the Philippine setting, then you can say in the Philippines. You want to test your students, right? The purpose, understanding about, let's key this in. There. Make a, you're now going to give the instruction. Make a multiple choice test about the contents below. This is now where it makes sense to copy and paste what we have encoded. Hang on. So in this case, my quiz is about this topic. So I'm gonna copy and paste. So assuming that these are the only contents we wanted to include in the quiz, We're going to put this in ChatGPT. So Shift, Control Shift, and then Control V. We're pasting. Okay, hold on. Let's add more details. Make the quiz knowledge-based, understanding based. This is with respect to the Bloom's taxonomy. Knowledge-based, understanding-based, and situational. At the end of the quiz, give the answers and the explanation. So now that you have given the prompt, make sure to specify also the number of items. So we have a very short one. I'm gonna say, let's say 20 points. Make that test worth 20 points. Okay, and let's generate. Let's just wait for a little bit. I have a premium version of ChatGPT. That is why it's easy for me to just upload, and I have unlimited access to everything. It's starting to generate already. Again, don't forget, you have to really check each of the items, and you have to really remember to also take out the questions that you did not emphasize while you were discussing the lesson in the classroom. Because if you are asking questions that you haven't thoroughly discussed in the classroom, your students are most likely going to have a mistake on the item in the quiz. So here we have 1 to 12 already, and we have the answers. Okay, here we go. So the next step is going to be the copying and pasting of the outcome into the Word document. So we have multiple. Don't forget, you should not be copying this and pasting this. So we copy and paste. All right. We did not have directions in the beginning, so we're gonna put directions here. Read the questions carefully and encircle the letter of the best answer. So yeah, let's paste. Now the problem with ChatGPT when the outcome of the prompt is copy pasted to the Word document is sometimes we lose the item number. So double check with the item number. 2, 3, 4. We are on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And taking a while, but I hope you're still here with me. If you want to skip this part, please do so. That's okay. You can move your you can move the video to a later part of this video. We're still on the 14th. So yeah, you have to be very thorough when you are using this part. We take this one out. It's okay if you don't inform your students that you are having the situational part as part of the examination. Now, one thing that I learned about teaching is you don't give a quiz unless your students had a chance to practice answering examinations through a seat work. When it comes to assessment, we always begin with the practice test first before the graded assessment. Oh, did I lose one? Okay, according to this, 15, 16. Oh, okay, so C, we have to be very careful. So this is 18, 19, and this is 20. Now, the next part would be to check if the questions are aligned with what we have discussed and aligned with what type of assessment we're giving. So here, according to Beck and Pollitt, Research follows a step-by-step process of investigation that uses blank approach in answering questions or solving problems. Okay, acceptable question. Whose definition? All right. So I'm not the type of teacher who asks who gave this definition. That would be very useless. We don't actually remember those things at all. So I'm gonna take this down. Boom. All right. This one is acceptable. I again, as a teacher, I don't want my students to be memorizing names of who authored this and that. What I want my students to remember is the process of researching, not the people involved in research. So here we have Sanchez 2000 emphasized that research always proceeds from the known to the. Mhm. Let's make this a little bit longer since the options are a little bit long. This one is acceptable. Reason for that is they just have to analyze the question. Which definition of research? Again, this is not the type of question I ask my students. We don't have a history class here, so we will not be asking questions like this. So we skip into research should be supported by evidence gathered from observation or experimentation. This characteristic is known as, this one is highly acceptable. So we're going to move it to number 4. When research results can be applied to a larger population beyond the sample studied, this is called, there you go, this one is acceptable also. Research that follows an orderly process and sequence of steps is described as acceptable. So we're going to copy this. Be mindful of the spacing again. Understanding-based items, we take this down. No need to inform the students which part of the assessment they are already. Okay, which of the following best explains why research should be objective? Still best answer type of question, so we're going to add it. A research is, this is also acceptable because this tests the understanding of the student. So we copy and paste this part. And then we have 9. Also acceptable. Again, if you're the type of teacher who wants your students to memorize names, especially if you're using Chatgpt to make tests for civics or history, then you can make choices where last names are there. But this is research, so this is process-based and understanding-based. So we'll be skipping the part where students memorize names. This one is also acceptable for me. If you understand the gist of this part of the video, please skip this part. You can move on to the other part of the video. And then we have this still. Notice that I am very careful with putting or moving the questions from one item to another. We are now in the situation part. I'm very careful so that the sequence of the numbers are still the same and we don't lose our way when we make the calculation for the total score in comparison to the score that the students got. Okay. So we are on the 16th, almost there. Okay. We actually took out 3 questions because they are too knowledge-based and they are not aligned with how I teach my students. So what I did here is I just have 18. For 19 to 20, I want to make sure that the items will still be, the total items will still be 20. So what I'm going to do is ask an open-ended question. Okay, when it comes to okay, so I gave an open-ended question for my students. Don't forget to also include the rubrics. I wrote in a grammatically correct sentence. That's 1 point because we have 19 and 20. And then my answer reflects my understanding of the lesson. And I'm assuming my students will be writing more than one sentences, so I'm going to write, I wrote in grammatically correct sentences, and my answer reflects my understanding of the lesson. And then we put 2 points. And then we put a space where students can write our answers. Not our answers, but their answers. All right, so we have placed a set of lines below. This is so that they can write their answers neatly. And what you should not forget is, yeah, let's copy and paste in case they want to have more spaces for their answer. So all in all, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to check the spacing because this looks like it's going to take so much time answering because students have to keep on flipping. All right, so for the spacing part, we're going to have 1.0 there. Here, we're going to remove. This is the heading, so this is expected to be bigger and in boldface. The rest should be in font size 12, so it's visible for the students. It's, yeah, clear to the students. And then don't forget, you have to, I love to use Century Gothic because it's really pleasing to the eyes. We're trying to conserve paper as well. So what we're going to do is minimize the margins into 0.5. We go to layout. Margin should be 0.5. There we go. And don't forget to insert the page number so that you will be guided when you start printing. Okay. Let's check the face again. All right. There's still some spaces that we have to fix. So here, what I want to do is remove the spacing. So I'm going to click remove spacing. So we can conserve spaces, of course, and resources. You're only taking a while not thinking about what question to ask. So the good news is when it's a multiple choice test, it's easier to check. The bad news is this is not cheat proof. Some students will copy the answers. So my suggestion would be let the students have different sets of examinations. So this is cheat proof. Okay. Here we go. If you're giving this test as a seat work, then that's also okay. That would give enough time for the students to practice what they understood. And then you just make another set for the quiz instead. We remove that part. By part, I'm referring to the spaces in between the options. So we have removed everything already. All the spaces, I mean to say. We have placed this. Okay, we forgot one important part. You have to name the quiz that you made. This is the topic. We make that boldface. On top of this, we have to mention this is quiz 1.1. I usually use the label 1.1 to signify that this is the first quiz in the first quarter. And put this in boldface. There. Proper spacing. Let's double check again. So we have 4 pages. And then when this is printed back to back, this becomes just 2 sheets of paper. We have conserved space. Double check again the spacing. There you go. Now you have a 20-item test as your quiz. And as a teacher, what I usually do is I include the corrections at the end of the quiz. So we go back to ChatGPT and then we copy the answer key with explanations. And then we place that in the last page. This is your guide in checking the paper right after. Okay, and now that we have everything ready, what we just have to do is conduct the test. If you want to make sure that your examination is cheat-proof, you make 2 different sets. You make another prompt and then ask for a 20-item test still, and then make it set B, this being set A. So that's it. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something tonight. This has been Teacher Sydney, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want me to make more videos about this, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you. Have a great day.